UFC 273, most confident picks, and there's a lot of very big favorites on the card, so it's kind of hard to distinguish who's a little bit more confident, who's a little bit less confident, but yeah, there's a lot of big favorites, and there's a lot of very 50-50 fights on the card. The 50-50 fights, in terms of the betting odds, are of course going to be the fights with Tecia Torres, Mackenzie Dern, Vince Michelle, and Mark Madsen. Rozenstruik, Tybura slightly there, Vandeira versus Olenek, Friend versus Hernandez is pretty close, Pieta versus Hansen is pretty close, Gall. I mean, there's a lot of very 50-50 fights, and then there's those really big favorites on the card, kind of like an Ian Gary, like a Hamza Chimaev, Petr Yan, or Piotr Yan, and then Alexander Volkanovski. So there's a lot of very solid guys on the card, but we're going to distinguish the categories of most confident and least confident, things like that, from the fighters that I'm just slightly leaning towards them to win. I'm not at all confident on them winning, but I think they'll win. I slightly edge their way to get it done, and that's going to be the first little tier for the most confident picks. First off, we're going to go with Alexei Olenek. That is not a confident pick whatsoever against Jared Vandeira, because Jared Vandeira, he's a lot bigger, he's a lot younger, he's a lot more powerful. He could definitely go out there and knock out Alexei Olenek. It's very likely we see Vandeira dominate Olenek. It's very likely we see Olenek submit Vandeira. It's not one of those fights where you can look at it and be like, yeah, Vandeira's gonna win, yeah, Alexei's gonna win that fight, because it's just that close of a fight, in my opinion. The odds definitely reflect that as well. So that is my first, Philly leaning one way, is gonna be Jairzinho Rozenstruik. That is a fight I'm not going to be confident either way I go. If I'm going Tybura to win the fight, there's no way you can be confident with the chin that he has. He got knocked out by Shamil Abdurrahimov not too long ago. Now he's fighting Jairzinho, coming off knockout wins over Augusto Sakai, fighting Ngannou, Curtis Blaze. I mean, so many really solid guys. But yes, either Tybura goes out there, just absolutely destroys Rozenstruik in the wrestling, or Rozenstruik just knocks him out. So I think that's another 50-50 fight. But again, I'm going to be leaning at Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Another one, y'all might be a little bit surprised for this one, but I think this is another pretty 50-50 fight with Ian Gary and Darian Weeks. I know a lot of you guys are going to be like, I don't know. I think Ian Gary's going to win. That's probably what a lot of you guys are thinking of. He's an undefeated Irishman. I do think he wins. I am definitely going for him to win the fight, but I'm not confident at all. Darian Weeks has a little bit better wrestling. He has a little bit more amateur experience than Ian Gary as well. Ian, he's got good power, he's got really good counters, he's got a good kicking game. Darian Weeks also has a good kicking game, so I could actually see that fight being pretty competitive. So I would not label Ian Gary as one of the more confident picks of the card for those reasons. It's because there's that possibility that Darian Weeks could just maybe go out there with the wrestling heavy approach and a leg kicking heavy approach. I mean, the same could be said for Ian Gary as well, but yeah, I'm gonna go Ian Gary to win, kind of like Rozenstruik and Alexei, but I'm still a close fight there. The next one, Vince Michelle, Mark Madsen. I mean, how close can it get? I mean, Mark Madsen is an Olympic wrestler over there, really good Greco-Roman wrestling, 11-0 in the not in the UFC, but as an MMA fighter, fighting 14-2 Vince Michelle. Both guys are a little bit older. They're both very strong, very good wrestlers, very good grapplers. When we see that happen, it's mainly a striking fight. But again, it's a gold. I think he's a silver medalist in wrestling, but still, Mark Madsen is definitely live to go out there and land the takedowns and win the fight, and that's why it's probably one of those fights that should probably be a minus 110 type of fight. And I'm going to lean slightly towards Vince Michelle. I can totally see Madsen just kind of edging out two of those rounds with the takedowns and with some pressure on the feet, but I'm going to lean Vince Michelle there. So that's another one that's very 50-50. The last one being Dern and Torres, of course. Torres, much better striker. She's more powerful. She's a lot stronger. And then Dern just has the jiu-jitsu. So we can either see Torres just outstrike Dern for 3 rounds, get a decision win, or we can see Dern somehow find a way to the mat and get a knee bar, a rear naked, an arm bar, whatever the case may be. So yeah, and then the last 50-50 fight that I'm slightly leaning one way is going to be Josh Frem. That is an underdog guy right there. He's at plus 165 or something. Hernandez, a 2-1 favorite. I'm going to lean Josh Frem slightly. Again, it's nowhere near a confident pick with how unpredictable Anthony Hernandez is. I mean, he can go out there, lose every minute of this fight, and then pop on a dart choke. He can lose every minute, landing an elbow right down the middle knockout. There's no telling with Anthony Hernandez, and there's no telling with Josh Fremd. Josh has been knocked out before by Gregory Rodriguez. Hernandez has been knocked out before by Kevin Holland, and I think he got submitted before that or something like that. So that is a 50-51. I'm leaning the dog. So those are my 50-50, leaning one way or another. Josh Fremd, Alexei Oleinik, Jairzinho Rozenstruik, Ian Gary, Vince Pichel, and Mackenzie. During the next little leg, in most confident, I'm gonna go slightly towards I'm sort of confident on them winning. I think most likely they're gonna win the fight. They're just the better fighter in pretty much every aspect of the game. Most likely they're gonna go out there and win. The first one is gonna be Julio Arce. I think he's pretty much better everywhere. He has more experience, has fought the better competition, but he's on the lower range of this. So this little tier right here, where I'm I'm a little bit confident on them. I'm not really saying it's a 50-50 fight or anything like that. I'm a little bit more confident than those 50-50 ones. But Julio Arce is at the bottom of this list that I'm making right now, just because Daniel Santos, his kicking game is crazy. He's got crazy power, really good knockout skills. So I can definitely see an upset from Daniel Santos there with the power that he does possess in both the legs and in the hands. So I'm gonna go Julio Arce to win, but it's one of my lower tiered confident picks there. Piera Rodriguez is next. I do think she's pretty much better in most aspects of the game, except for maybe the jiu-jitsu. Piera does have the better wrestling, in my opinion. Maybe a little bit of you guys are probably going to disagree on that, but I do think over time, maybe the first round, Kay Hansen will have the better wrestling, but later on as the fight goes, the cardio starts to drain a little bit. Piera, with the constant pressure on the feet, the gas tank at Kay Hansen is really going to go down, and Piera is going to really mix in the wrestling. So I think all of that should most likely get Piera Rodriguez the win. So I would kind of lean towards her being a slightly confident pick, but not really like a 50-50 fight. I mean, the odds have it as a 50-50 one, but I'm a little bit more confident than that. The next one is going to be Raquel Pennington, another girl I think should easily defend. The only thing that Aspen Ladd really has the path to victory in, which is going to be the takedowns. Raquel should defend the takedowns, keep the fight on the feet, outstrike her, maybe even knock out Aspen Ladd, or submit her as she's coming in for the takedown. So she would be on that leg of, I'm pretty confident on them. It's not a 50-50 fight, but I'm not super confident. Right in the middle of my confidence range. After that one, I would probably say to go on to the next little rung, which would be I'm pretty confident on these guys to win. And that would be the first one on that list is going to be Mike Mallet, because I think he's better everywhere. Jiu-jitsu, I think Mickey Gall's a very solid jiu-jitsu practitioner. He submitted a lot of solid guys. He's got very, very good submission skills. Even the striking looked pretty good against Jordan Williams when they fought not too long ago. But Mike Mallet is a much better striker, in my opinion. I believe he dropped Solomon Renfro in their fight, which was a really solid knockdown or knockout, if I'm remembering that one correctly. But he's a better striker, in my opinion, a better wrestler. And then the jiu-jitsu, it kind of evens out. So I'm pretty confident on Mike Mallet. One of my most confident picks, aside from, the top three. We already know you were going to go to it. Eventually, we got the top three: Hamza, Jan, and Volkanovski. You guys might be wondering, which one out of these guys am I the most confident with? Volkanovski, Jan, or Hamza? I would say the most confident out of those three, and the most confident on the whole entire card, is going to be Alexander Volkanovski. And it's no surprise that I'm saying that, is because he's the more experienced guy. He's beat Max Holloway twice, dominated Brian Ortega. Brian Ortega already beat Chan Sung Jung fairly easily in their fight. Volkanovski's the better striker. He's got the leg kicks. He's got the wrestling to fall back on in the later rounds. His submission defense is crazy, getting out of all of the submissions against Brian Ortega. So that would be my most confident pick of the card. Now, between Hamza and Petr Yan, for my second most confident pick, it's tough, but I'm going to go Hamza Chimaev as my second most confident pick of the card. He's a lot bigger than Burns. He's got the wrestling advantage over Burns. He's got the power advantage in the hands over Burns. I believe he's going to be taller and lengthier than Burns as well. So there's a lot of things going for Hamza. And the reason I'm going Hamza over Petr Yan right there is because Aljamain Sterling's got that submission game. So does Gilbert Burns. But Aljamain Sterling, I would say, his striking is a little bit more even to Petr Yan's than Gilbert Burns' striking is to Hamza, because Hamza just has that scary one-punch power to knock out Gilbert Burns, whereas Petr Yan is really looking to go out there, land a lot of volume, and kind of wear you down for the later rounds for him to finish you. But early on in the fight, I do think Sterling could have a little bit of a striking advantage, whereas in the Burns versus Hamza fight, I don't think Gilbert will have the striking advantage anytime in the fight. Until possibly if it goes to like super late into the third round or something like that. So Hamza, number 2 most confident. Petr Yan, I keep getting the name wrong. Petr Yan, the number 3 most confident. Mike Mallet as the number 4 most confident. Number 5 most confident would be Raquel Pennington. Number 6, Piera Rodriguez. Number 7, Julio Arce. Number 8, Jairzinho Rosenstrike. Number 9, Ian Gary. Number 10... That's a tough one. What are we going to go now? Number 10, I'll go Vince Pichel. Number 11, Tisha Torres. And then number 12, Josh Fremd. And number 13 with Alexei Olenek. 13, I mean, that is just a super unpredictable fight there. A lot of older, like a super old guy versus a super young guy. They both have advantages way out in there. So, I don't know if I can repeat what I just said, but you can go back in the video to check out what my actual list from top to bottom most confident picks are for the card. But there's 13 fights in the card. It's going to be an absolute banger. Cannot wait for UFC 273. Make sure to go on to my actual full card prediction and put on your full card prediction for that card, because the winner and that gets the most predictions correct on this card for UFC 273 will get a free full month of my best UFC, Bellator, and PFL bets for a full 30 days, and it doesn't really cost you anything. All you have to do is put in all of your predictions top to bottom right here on my UFC 273 prediction, as well as if you want to put your confident picks down below in this video as well. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications. With all that being said, we'll see you in the next video. Let's go. After that one, we go on to the